Welcome to Headlight Revolution, where we go over some of the latest and greatest products for your vehicle when it comes to lighting. Now, in this video, I'm going to review the 4Banger from Morimoto. This is a brand new pod that's just came out, just hit the market. We're going to install it on this A-pillar bracket on this F450 behind us. So let's get started. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks along the way, and then I'm going to show you how much better these are compared to a lot of the competitors. Before we install this on the A-pillar, let's show you a little something. These are the 4Bangers. All right, this is an amber lens. This is a white lens. Let's be clear, there are two different 4Bangers out there. There is a high-end version and a low-end version. There is also 3 different light outputs. There is a combo light, there is a spotlight, and there is a wide light. The most important light out of all of these would be the wide light. 85% of the people out there drive with a wide light. Those are the ones that they want with their pods. There is a ton of fanboys out there that are saying Dial Dynamics is the best, Baja Designs, you can't go anywhere else. Well, with these 4Bangers from Morimoto, there is another option. In another video, we test these against so many other products, and Chris Nelson does a full-on review. So if you want to learn the deep, dark, and dirty of these 4Bangers, go ahead and watch that video. Let me show you on the wall what the light outputs look like so you can decide if you want that combo driving pattern, that wide driving pattern, or that spot driving pattern. The pod light is about 25 feet from the wall, and as you can see with the spot lens on these pods, you get that square spot. It is extremely bright. But where it really shines is with this wide beam pattern. Not quite as wide as the SS3s from Dial Dynamics, but still way brighter. And the beam pattern is everything here, guys. From the middle of the beam pattern horizontally, you can see the bottom half of that starts going dimmer. That is done on purpose. Morimoto has put so much energy and design into making this light output an actual usable light output, if you're gonna say put it in your fog lights. The last one is the combo beam pattern. This one's Chris Nelson's favorite, so we're gonna install the combo driving beam pattern on his F450 that we have in today. Now, if you want to, there is an amber version, and all of these driving patterns look about the same. I gotta admit, the light output's a little bit dimmer if you choose to have that yellow lens. On the higher end models, this is called the HX Boost, HXB. They use an OSRAM chip. OSRAM doesn't make an LED chip that is yellow. So you're gonna lose about 30% of light output if you get these in yellow. Using this combo beam pattern as an example, as far as amber to amber, the higher end with the OSRAM chip is on the top. On the bottom is the NCS chip, or the Nichia chips. This is the entry level when it comes to the 4Bangers in this lineup. As you can see, the color is much different on the bottom. That's because Nichia does have a yellow chip. It does have a yellow lens in front of it, but yellow passes through a yellow lens so much better, giving you a less loss in brightness compared to that OSRAM model or the higher end model. Now, how Morimoto gets those really cool driving patterns is with this lens. It's using that TIR, or Total Internal Reflector lens. This is an important lens because all of the new pod lights, the latest and greatest pod lights out there, are using this lens. This is going to give you all 3 of those driving patterns. So, enough talk. Let's go ahead and put this on the A-pillar. Like I said before, we're going to put the combo driving pattern, and it's going to be amber. First, pop that hood. All right, so not only did Morimoto make incredible pod lights, they also made vehicle-specific brackets that go in the A-pillar mounts and in the fog lights. So no longer do you have that cheese-grated, barely fitting pod light in that grill in the front of your truck or on the A-pillar bracket. Let's go ahead and install this. It's gonna install on these 2 bolts right here, and it's gonna reach behind and up. Since these 2 bolts need to be loosened up on each side to get the bracket over it, the hood is going to move. To keep it marked in the right spot so it doesn't have to be all hitting on the fenders and stuff like that, go ahead and take a piece of tape. Put it right here on the side. So go ahead, clean it off. I'm gonna put a piece of duct tape because that's what we got. You can put any other kind of tape, painter's tape, it's all the same. That is not going anywhere. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take a marker and I'm gonna mark it. I'm just gonna put a line across. This ain't art class, you don't have to make it pretty. Now go ahead and take your knife, a little knife like this. Just be careful so you're not scratching your nice paint on your F450 or 350. It's all the same. And cut that, there you are. Now as you can see here, there's this little line. When you put this bracket back on nice and tight, make sure it's lined up that way. Do the same thing on the other side. Tape's installed. Now go ahead and take your drill here. This is a 13mm socket. Use a deep socket, and we're gonna loosen this up. Do not remove it, just loosen it up. That should be enough. Go ahead and do the other one. I did see a big shift. That's why we have this piece of tape. We're gonna get it lined up right next time. So go ahead, take your bracket and slide it in. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. Definitely would suggest getting a friend to help you out. But as you can see, it is possible with just yourself. All right, let's check this out. You can slowly close the hood. Make sure that it's aligned properly. Now that the hood is closed and it's aligned properly, let's go ahead, open it back up, and we're gonna do that metal bracket on the other side as well. Once it closes down, we can then install a 4Banger. Now, here comes the fun part. We get to see what this pod light looks like on the truck itself. When you order it from Morimoto, this product, or you order it from Headlight Revolution or anybody else, it comes with all of the hardware that you need. So go ahead, put this U bracket on, which is just held in by 2 little bolts on the sides. It runs down. Make sure you put the bolt in first. And the bolt, pretty self-explanatory, it's gonna go right here on the bracket. And then you've got a washer and a locking nut. Go ahead and put those on, and then you can route this wire in once we pop the hood. All right, now you don't have to go too terribly tight when you're tightening this bolt, because we're gonna go ahead and adjust it later. So as you can see here, you still got some play up and down, you got some play left and right. That's what you want. Now go ahead and put the other pod light on the other side. All right, so your 4Bangers are now mounted. Now the fun part, we gotta pay attention. This is the wiring harness that Morimoto sends. Because you have an F350 or 450 or Super Duty of any kind, they generally have an upfitter switch. Those are the switches right above on the inside of the cab. Those are super convenient because they already do all the running, so you don't have to pass anything through the firewall. They run it usually up into one of the corners of the engine bay. Now, there is another way to do it as well. And if you wanted your own switch, or you want the Morimoto switch that these come with, this is what you need. What we're gonna do is we're gonna run it just like Morimoto says. We're gonna use the switch that Morimoto comes with, and we're gonna connect these to the pod lights themselves. Now, how you run your wiring is completely up to you. I like it to be as hidden as possible. So I'm gonna actually try to go through this hood right here. I'm gonna take a fish like this, a little wire fish. I'm gonna feed it over. I'm gonna tape light 1 to it and pull it over. That's gonna allow me to get that wire to the passenger side. Look at that. As you can see, this is going from here to there. It's just gonna help me tape that wire and pull it through. Grab some tape. Tape the light wire to it. Doesn't have to be pretty. That's all we're doing is pulling it through. There we go. With that ran, you can go ahead and undo this tape. With light 1 wiring ran, we're gonna go ahead and plug it in. Now, keep in mind, you guys can go through and tidy up all of this wiring when you're done. Zip tie it up however you can, however you see fit. With that waterproof connection connected, let's go ahead and get that other side done. Good on Morimoto, first off. This wire finally actually reaches in a Super Duty. Most relay harnesses, you always have to extend. It's a pain in the butt, not here. Go ahead, grab light number 2, this Deutsch connector, plug it in to your second pod light. Give it a push and make sure you hear that click. There you go, that means that it's connected properly. Now we're gonna go ahead and route your relay in here somewhere. We're gonna mount it. Remember, we're gonna mount this vertically. We're not gonna mount it like this. That is no. We're gonna flip it over and we're gonna mount it this way. If you need to do it with zip ties, you can. Now, like I said, I like my wiring really hidden. So I'm gonna put this relay down deep in the abyss. Now, I know you can't see that on camera. Just know that in this case, I'm gonna put a zip tie through this eyelid here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put it down here. There's a little hole. That's where I wanna put this relay. The last thing I wanna do is have a rat's nest of wiring up in here. So let's go ahead and install this now. I'm gonna push this down deep in the abyss, like I said. Route my zip tie through it. And I do apologize for not being able to see it very well on camera. A lot of this wiring is really up to you. Make sure that relay is upright, just like I said. Now give your zip tie one more tighten, cut the excess, and then we're gonna go ahead and install that switch. This is all we have left. This is the switch. And luckily Morimoto thought of everything and put a waterproof connection here. That way we don't gotta pass the switch and all of this through the firewall, because this would be a pain in the butt. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off this waterproof connection and unplug it, and there you go. We're gonna set this aside and we're gonna get back to this once we go into the cab of the truck. Here's where you have the option if you wanted to use the relay harness and connect it to the upfitter switches, which is right over there. You can go ahead and now plug this in that has the bare wires and then splice those bare wires into your upfitter switch. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna put a custom switch right in here for Morimoto. Once that switch is installed, all we had to do left is plug in the battery terminals, the positive and the negative. Super simple, then you're good to go. So here we go. This is nothing new. Remember back in the 2000s era when we would put stereo systems inside the trucks? Well, it's no different than running that power cable through the firewall. We're gonna go ahead and take a knife. We're gonna cut a slit in a rubber grommet down here. We're then gonna pass this wire through. We're gonna feed it through. You can use a metal fish or a plastic fish just like we used here to get this wire ran through the hood. That should help you so you can get it into the footwell. I'm gonna do that and I'll meet you on the inside. Now, just like the wiring up front, there's so many different ways to route this through the firewall. You could drill a hole through it, use the rubber grommet that Morimoto provides, or you can cut into a rubber grommet that's already there. I did just that. I understand it's a little bit difficult to pass that big wire through the firewall, but believe me, it's possible. So I ran it through, I used this fish, and now as I pull it through gently, you might want someone else to help you feed it down. And there you go. Look at that. It's taped. I'm gonna take this ugly tape off, and then we're gonna install the switch. Now your switch can go anywhere you want to. Remember, there's those upfitter switches up there, or this one, the Morimoto switch. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna install it right here. Yours might be different, but this was a pretty easily accessible place to put this switch. So I'm gonna reach up, and I'm gonna pull it down. All I can say is wherever you guys go ahead and decide to mount that switch, make sure there's nothing behind it. No metal bracket, no bolt, just be very cautious about where you put it. I've already pulled this back before. I've noticed that this is a good spot to put it, so this is where I'm gonna drill it. I'm gonna drill a 3/4 inch size hole. Then I'm gonna pass the switch right through that. A step bit, just like this one, is a very good choice when you're trying to be very particular about how big the hole is. So here we go. Be cautious, go slow. Go slow. If you go too big, the switch will just fall right through the plastic hole. All right, wipe off all the excess on here. And then I'm just gonna unplug this because I made it real tight. I'm gonna push this through first. There we go, nice and tight. And then we're gonna go ahead and plug this in from this side. I'm gonna route the wiring around, just like that, and plug it in. Make sure that plug-in is nice and tight. Now go ahead and connect that and you are good to go. Just make sure you don't wrap it around the brake pedal, the e-brake, the gas pedal, and zip tie it when you're done. But first, let's go test it by putting in the positive and negative terminal. 2 wires remaining. That's all we got left. We're gonna hook up the ground real quick. Take your 10mm socket if you can find it. We're gonna remove this bolt all the way. All right, put your ground cable over that and tighten it back down. All right, now let's go to the positive terminal here. All right, loosen this bolt up, remove it. Grab your positive terminal, install this over that screw, and put the bolt back on. Now go ahead, take that 10mm and tighten her up. Before I tidy up any more wiring, zip tie, whatever, and adjust the alignment, let's go test it to make sure it works. And just like that, the install is done. It could not be easier than what we just did here. The firewall was a little bit fun, and drilling the hole in the plastic for the switch was a little bit fun. If you put it into your upfitter switches, you didn't even have to put the hole for the switch. Now, if you've got a halogen truck with halogen fog lights, I'm gonna tell you right now, the best thing you could do is go ahead and put a 4Banger in the fog lights to match the A-pillar lights you just installed. Guys, if you wanna see what else we have for your Super Duty or any other vehicle, go to headlightrevolution.com, type in your year, make, and model, and we'll show you exactly what we have to offer for you.